In biology, the 8th chapter of your book is heredity, and I will discuss heredity. Heredity is defined as the transmission of character from parents to the offspring, or from one generation to the successive generation. It means the character of one generation when come in the next generation, it is known as heredity. It is common knowledge that every organism produces its own type of organism, like produces like. Human produces human, and cat produces kitten, hen produces chicks. All these are their own offspring and they are totally identical. Although they have the same appearance, but they are also having certain differences, and these differences are called variations. Every organism is never a duplicate copy of its parents. It has certain differences, and these differences are called variation, and their differences increases from generation to generation. It is only due to heredity that every organism produces own type of organism. As man produces man, dog produces dog, it is due to reproduction. Genetics is the branch of biology in which we study heredity and variation. This is the branch of biology, and in this branch we study heredity and variation. This is very important branch, and Gregor John Mendel, this is known as father of genetics. G.J. Mendel or Gregor John Mendel is known as father of genetics. He first experimented on pea plant. And what is the importance of genetics? It is given with an example, and it is a very funny example. Once a very beautiful actress made the famous English playwright George Bernard Shaw. He was an English writer, very famous. She wanted to propose him and whispered, "Will it not be wonderful if our child has my beauty and your brains?" She said him, "If we marry, then our children will be very improved because they will be beautiful as I, and they will be intelligent as you. But you know that there are variation also." And the Bernard Shaw replied, "What will if the child has your brain and my looks?" He said that it may be reverse also. You are thinking that your child will be with your beauty, but they can have beauty of my and the brain of your. So it is always not possible that every child may be a duplicate of its parent. Reproductive process gives rise to individuals that are similar, but in a sexual reproduction they are totally identical, but sexual reproduction they are different, and in sexual reproduction there are various variations. These variations are due to various causes. In sexual reproduction there is the combination of two different organisms, and their gene or chromosome are intermixed in the next generation. We have half chromosome from mother and half from father, so we are never identical to our father or mother, but there are certain traits which are mixed, which are of father or which are of mother. So there are always variation between organism and its offspring. The original organism at the top, here an example is given, you see here. It is the original organism which is producing two organisms, and they have only one difference at the top, here red color and here blue color. There is one difference. And when it will produce next generation, in the next generation there are in this side, these are two differences. So this organism in the third generation is very different from the ancestral generation. So in the same way, these variations are collected in the offspring. When any organism reproduces, some variation also inherited in the next generation, and due to these variations, the organism is totally different after many generations, and this process is known as evolution. In evolution, every organism differs from its parental generation. Accumulation of variation during reproduction. Inheritance from previous generation provide both a common basic body design and change for the next generation. When the generation in the next generation and in the next generation the differences increases, and finally they become a lot of different and so new generation or the new species forms. In a sexually reproducing, there is generally clone. There is very less difference because there is no exchange of genetic material. The DNA is similar. Every organism has the same DNA as the parents because there is no meiosis, no exchange of gametes, no there transfer of DNA, and so there is only one DNA that is being copied. So in asexual reproduction, the organisms are mainly similar, but asexual reproduction is found only in a limited number of organisms. Here DNA copying is totally identical. But in sexual case, the two organisms are responsible to produce a new organism. As in case of human being also, half chromosome, half DNA from mother, half from father. So we are having the half chromosome and DNA of both the parents. So we are neither exact of our parents, father or mother. We have some character of both and some character of new. So it is actually interaction of gene or DNA, and therefore we are having various different character. And after all, the environment also have certain effect. For example, a person who is living in sun, that will become darker in color. A person who is living in less cold area or in the less sun, he will be brighter in color. So it is the environmental effect. The most obvious outcome of the reproductive process still remains the generation of individual similar design. The organism will be similar, as every offspring of human being will be a human that will have 2 hands, 2 legs, nose, 2 eyes, 2 ears, and same teeth, similarly tongue and body shape, but that will be different from the parents always. So there are certain rules in the genetics, and this is the general rules which we will discuss. But some traits are inherited traits. Inherited traits are those traits which we get from the parents. For example, there are 2 types of earlobes. One is attached earlobes and other is free earlobes. Here you are seeing that in the attached earlobe, these earlobes are attaching at the back to the body, and this is the totally free earlobes. There are 2 types of earlobes in the human being, and these both traits are heritable. If we see the earlobes of different person, we can easily consider that the person having attached earlobe is due to genetics. In that, some organism before some generation had this type of ears, so he has got or she has got such type of earlobes. What are the rules for inheritance of trait? The rules of inheritance of trait were discovered by Mendel. Mendel did experiment on pea for 7 years. Mother and father both give half DNA, both give half chromosome, and on this the Mendel worked for 7 years, 1857 to 1864. It is the lifetime of Mendel, 1822, 1864. Mendel was born on 1822, died on 1884. But Mendel was educated in a monastery and went to study science at Mathematics at University of Vienna. Failure in examination for a teaching certificate, he did not suppress his zeal. He went back to monastery and started growing peas. Many others had studied the inheritance of trait in pea and other organisms earlier, but Mendel blended his knowledge of science and mathematics, and then he gave his law. He told every trait is found in 2 alternate forms, as tall and dwarf are alternate form, intelligent and dull are 2 alternate form. One of the both alternate form of a trait is more common because that is dominant. Only one of the 2 traits appears in one organism. An organism may be having 1 trait out of these. Offspring may have different traits than the parents. These were some findings, but we will discuss now the experiment done by Mendel. Mendel used a number of contrasting characters. Contrasting characters are those characters which are having their different forms. For example, P have round and wrinkled, tall and short, yellow and green, and similarly white and violet flower. So all these traits are called contrasting trait. Mendel first of all made pure plants for every trait. Pure plants are those plants which will produce similar organism when they are crossed. For example, pure tall will always produce tall plant, pure dwarf will always produce dwarf plant. So he first of all make pure plant of 1 trait, and then he crossed them. It is known as his monohybrid cross. In the first experiment, he crossed between pure tall and pure dwarf, and he saw that in the first generation all plants were tall. In this experiment you are watching that tall and dwarf and pure are crossed. In the first generation all plants are tall, and when he saw that only 1 trait is appeared, the trait that is appeared he called it dominant trait. So, according to this, Mendel gave his first law of inheritance. He said that when a cross is done between two organisms for a single pair of contrasting character, only one character appear in the first generation, and the character that appear is called dominant trait. According to this, you are seeing pure tall, pure dwarf. When the gamete are produced, tall will form only one type of gamete, dwarf will form one type of gamete with chromosome T small, and tall with capital T, and both will combine to form zygote, capital T small t, it will be tall. It means the first law is known as law of dominance. So we can say that in this generation, when one character appear in the first generation out of two contrasting pair in pure organism, the character that appear is known as dominant, which do not appear is known as recessive. Here tall is dominant and dwarf is recessive. And the dominant character is always written with the capital alphabet, and recessive character is written with small alphabet. So small t, it is a recessive character, capital T is a dominant character. So this was Mendel's first law, and it is known as law of dominance. According to this, when parents with pure contrasting trait are crossed, only one form of the trait appear in the first generation. Then he again experimented the organism, tall organism obtained by monohybrid cross, capital T, small t. He crossed them and he found that in the next generation, both tall and dwarf are produced. 3 tall, 1 dwarf. Or the genotypic ratio is 1 to 1, as we are watching in this capital T, small t, capital T, small t. Here will be 2 type of gamete, capital T, small t, capital T, small t, and when they will cross, according to probability, capital T can cross with capital T with small t, similarly small t with capital T, small t with small t. So in this, there will be ratio 1 to 1 will be genotypic ratio, and phenotypic ratio will be 3:1, and it is a law of segregation. In a cross between two hybrid, both pair appear in the next generation in the 3:1. Unit square may be made to know the genotypic or phenotypic ratio. The genotypic ratio is 1 to 1, phenotypic ratio 3:1. Then Mendel did experiment on P for two contrasting pair of trait. He did this experiment between round yellow and wrinkled green. In this we know that round is dominant and wrinkled is recessive, and yellow is dominant and green is recessive. In this, when a cross is done, so when pure round yellow and wrinkled green, he gave a cross, and in this cross he saw that this is the cross. Here capital R, capital Y, small r, small y, there will be 2 type of gamete, and in the first generation there will be if RRYY and RRYY are crossed, then in F1 are from both parents. And if we draw the Punnett square like this, the one gamete of 1 at one side from RRYY, there are 4 type of gamete. Capital R, capital Y, capital R, small y, small r, capital Y, small r, small y. At both sides we draw these gamete and combine these, then it will be such type of a chart will be obtained. In this 9R round yellow you are seeing in this diagram, this first line totally at both sides perpendicular as well as horizontal as the round yellow, and in the this is the 7 and 2 other round yellow are this second from the upper line, and here second from the lower line. These are also two organisms. So 9 will be round yellow, 3 will be round green, 3 will be wrinkled yellow, and 1 will be wrinkled green. So it will be 9:3:3:1 ratio of dihybrid cause. It means here you are seeing that we had taken 2 type of plants, but there are 4 type of plants. It means there is some new rearrangement. We had taken round yellow and wrinkled green, but here wrinkled yellow and round green are also produced. These are known as recombinant. So the new organism, new trait, the new combination, that is recombinant, they are produced, and it is law of independent assortment. In the independent assortment in dihybrid cause, this law say that each pair of alleles segregate independently to other pair. It means round is independent of yellow, wrinkled is independent of green. So it is known as law of independent assortment. Independent assortment so that the traits are distributed in any ratio, in any amount, in any combination. How do these traits get expressed? Now the question arises, how capital R have produced round? Actually, every gene is a part of DNA. A small segment of DNA that produces effect is known as gene. A segment of DNA that provides information for protein is called gene. And so the capital R is a gene, small r is another gene, capital Y is a gene, small y is also a gene. And when the gene becomes active or in their life cycle or in the organism, each gene has its effect by producing a particular type of protein. The plant having capital T gene will produce the protein for the height. Similarly, small t will not produce protein for height, therefore the plant cannot be long. Consider that some protein act as an enzyme, therefore when enzyme is not present or the product of that gene is not present, the reaction responsible for that trait is not occur in the body, therefore we will not have that trait. It is the main thing that is responsible for the expression of the trait. So it is the DNA that represents its trait. How germ cell make a single set of gene from the normal 2 copies of the other. Here there is the combination of 2 gene or 2 DNA, one from each parent. Actually, the DNA part, which is a gene that will produce mRNA by the process of transcription, and this mRNA will produce protein by the process of translation. So DNA give its effect by producing protein, and this total process is known as central dogma. DNA produce mRNA by transcription, RNA produce protein by translation, and this transcription plus translation is known as central dogma. Every gene or every DNA produce its effect. Then is the cause of variation. Variation may be due to environment, temperature, food, nutrition, change in gene, chromosome, etc. And the new recombination of gene and chromosome crossing over sexually reproducing organism, that may also cause variation. Mutation also cause variation. Some of us have more variation, some have less variation. Although every organism has variation, but the degree of variation may be different. Then the importance of variation. Variation may be useful as well as harmful. Some variation are harmful, and the person or the organism with that variation may be eliminated. They have not any survival benefit, but some variation are of such type they are helpful for the organism, and organism grow or survive with the useful variation, and these variation help in survival or in the next generation production. Some genetic trait in man. These are genetic trait earlobes. Earlobe may be pre-earlobe are dominant and attached earlobe are recessive. Similarly, dimples are dominant trait. When some of us laugh, there may be dimples on our cheek, and if dimples are not, they are recessive trait. Dimple are natural dent in the face. Tongue rolling. The rolling tongue upper edge is dominant and not rolling tongue is recessive. Species is a group of similar organism with similar morphological physical character, and they share a same gene pool and same ecological niche are known as species. Then is artificial selection. In many organisms we select artificially. For example, if we have a species of cow or buffalo and that is better, then we will select that, and the species that is not of good quality, that will be wiped out, or we will sell that organism, we will not care for that, we will never keep that organism for long generation. Similarly, suppose if a wheat plant is giving us more production, we will sow that in the field and we will keep some seed of that wheat for the next year for the generation. This is the most important. So today we are selecting only useful variety, and those varieties which are not useful, we are eliminating them. Then is the sex determination. How a man produce male and female? Today, the chromosomal theory of sex determination is very common. In sexually producing, there are two gametes, one from male, one other from female. In man, male produce sperm, female produce ovum. The sperm has X or Y chromosome because the genotype in male is XY, and ovum from female always have X chromosome because female is homozygous, that is having only XX combination in the sex chromosome. So if in this case, if X chromosome comes from the male side, the resultant offspring will be female. If Y chromosome comes from the male side, the resultant organism will be male. So it is the human being, in case of human being, male is responsible for sex determination. This is a segment of DNA. You can see this, that the DNA is double helical structure. It has two strands. There is 20 angstrom difference between two strands. It has shallow groove and the large groove. And there is the 10 angstrom of half and 34 angstrom between two turn, and between two nitrogen base it is 3.4 angstrom. This is the structure of DNA. This structure was given by Watson and Crick. This is a double helical structure of DNA. XX female and XY male. This is the first condition of sex determination. It is in man. In man there are 23 pair of chromosome. Out of 23 pair, there are 22 pairs autosome which are responsible for body trait. For example, a man may have 2 hands, 2 legs, 2 ears, 1 nose, 2 eyes. All these traits, all these characters are due to somatic chromosome. 22 pair of chromosome determine the actually body features of the organism. But the other 23rd pair chromosome is known as sex chromosome, that is having XX in case of female and XY in case of male. When gamete forms, the half chromosome comes in every gamete. So out of 23 pair, 23 chromosome will be in gamete. Suppose there are XX in female chromosome, a sexual chromosome, so the egg will have only one X chromosome, and in human being the sperm have either X or Y chromosome. Here in the diagram you are watching that if we see the only sex chromosome, there are XX in female and XY in male. So female will produce all egg of same type. They will have only X chromosome, but male will form two type of sperm, one with X chromosome, other with Y chromosome. If X chromosome sperm fuse with the ovum, it will produce female. Y chromosome sperm fuse with the ovum, it will produce male. So it is only the male who is responsible for the sex of the child. And if total chromosome are considered, there are 44 chromosome are autosome, and XX is sex chromosome in woman, and 44 autosome and XY in male. So female will produce ovum with 22 plus X chromosome, male will produce gamete or sperm with 22 plus X and 22 plus Y. 22 plus X if fused with female ovum, it will produce female. 22 plus Y fused with the ovum, it will produce male with 44 plus XY combination. So it is a man who is responsible for the formation of either male or female. In man Drosophila, here male is called heterozygous because it produces two type of gamete and it is having XY combination. But in case of woman, both chromosome are same XX and it will produce all ovum of same type. It is known as homozygous and homogametic. The homogametic will produce only one type of gamete. So in XXXY, the female is not responsible, male is responsible for production of boys or a girl. XX female and XO male. In bug and many insect, male is heterozygote that produce two type of gamete, one with X chromosome, other without X chromosome. But female will produce all gamete with X chromosome. So female here is again homozygous, but male is heterozygous. If the sperm with X chromosome fuse with the ovum, it will produce female. If sperm without X chromosome fuse with the ovum, it will produce male. So here male is again responsible. Some other type of sex determination, haploid, diploid. In honeybee, the haploid is male and diploid is female. The haploid honeybee form parthogenetically without fertilization and diploid form with fertilization. Temperature dependent. In the reptile, temperature is responsible for the production of male or female. In turtle and crocodile, it is the environment of the temperature that is responsible to produce male and female. If the temperature is above 28 or above 30 degree, only at the high temperature there will be the production of one type of organism that may be female. If it hatches at below 28, it will produce male. And if it hatches between 28 to 30, both male and female will be in equal ratio. It is the temperature that is responsible for the sex. In this, the temperature is responsible for the temperature of hatching or the egg where they are kept. Environmental sex determination. In some fish and reptiles, sex is determined at the temperature at which egg is incubated. Here we have discussed this, that if the temperature is higher, then more female are produced. Temperature is lower, only male are produced. Temperature is intermediate, both male and female equal. In turtle, Chrysema picta, a temperature less than 28 at the same time produce more male, and above 33 produce more female, and with 28 to 33 male and female in equal ratio. In lizard, agama, high temperature result in male, low temperature female, opposite to turtle. And some organism, for example snail, can change their sex. At the time of birth that may be male, but after some time that may become female. It is the ability of snail to change its sex. This was about the chapter of genetics. Now we will take question. Textual question. First question is, if a trait A exists in 10% of the population, and a trait B exists 60% of the population, then which trait is likely to have arisen? 10% is less than 60%. It means it has in very less organism. It means it has not been separated by reproduction. It is a newly origin trait which is not till scattered in the species. So 60% is older, 10% is newer. Because 60% the trait, 60% has been spreaded by reproduction, by random selection, by another trait, and due to the copy of DNA that has been separated in many generations, that has created many population with this trait. So the trait with 60% is ancient trait, trait with 10% is recent trait, and due to this the variation has been occurred. If trait is present only 10%, it is more likely the trait has arisen recently, very soon, very new. How the creation of variation promotes survival. Variation creates survival, that due to variation organisms have a different character. For example, suppose if there is any flood, there may be two types of organisms, one which can survive in water, other which cannot survive in water. So when flood comes, only those organisms will survive which have variation, which are capable to live in water. So it is the variation that help in the organism for survival. Selection of variation by environment favor this, that organism which can live in the changed environment that is naturally selected, and due to this natural selection organism will survive for a longer period, and those which are not naturally selected, which have the unfavorable trait due to variation, they will die. So this trait which is inherited but that is due to variation, only useful trait help in survival, non-useful trait never help in survival. How do Mendel experiment show that trait may be dominant or recessive? When Mendel crossed between pure organisms for a single pair of contrasting character, he saw that one character appear in the first generation, second do not appear. The character which appear that is dominant. For example, in pure tall and pure dwarf, when cross was done, in the first generation only tall were produced, and this is known as dominant trait. Similarly, in round and wrinkle, all organism round will be produced, it is known as dominant trait. When we cross pollinate tall and short, only tall are produced. In the F1 next generation, F2, both character appear. So in F1 only one character appeared, that character appeared in the one, that is known as dominant. How do Mendel explain the trait are inherited independently? Mendel performed a dihybrid cross in which 9331 ratio was obtained. He had taken two types of plant, but in F2 generation 4 types of plant were obtained and it were recombinated. In between the round yellow and wrinkled green, some plant with round green and wrinkled yellow were also produced. It means there are no recombination which were not present in the parental or ancestral generation. So it is the independently assortment. And in this dihybrid cross we can easily explain it with the help of example. A man with blood group A marries a woman with blood group O, and their daughter has blood group O. Actually, blood group is not described in your syllabus. In blood group, the case is totally different. Blood group is a case of multiple allele. Here, there are 3 types of genes are present: IA, IB, and IO. And the genotype may be AA and AAO. AA or AO, these are 2 genotypes for A blood group, and for O the genotype is only OO. It means OO has got both the gene from one from each parent. So the parents must be AO, and because O could be obtained only when the father has O. So the information is that the father is having blood group AO. This type of combination, heterozygous combination, will be present, and the O group has OO. So OO child can be born only when the O is present in the father also. So this is the genotype of his father. Although this information is not sufficient, because in case of blood group, the cross is totally different. If A and B both are present, the group will be A, B both are equal dominant. A and B are both co-dominant, but in case of A and B, A and O, or B and O, A and B are dominant. So it is a totally different case. It is not a case of dominance here. It may be due to a different combination or the recombination of the different trait. How is the sex determined in human being? We know the sex is determined by X and Y chromosome. It is the male who has the sperm of 2 types, one with X chromosome, other with Y chromosome. So if X chromosome containing sperm fused with the ovum, it will produce female. If Y chromosome containing sperm fused with the ovum or fertilize the ovum, it will produce male. So here 2 types of gametes are produced by male, 22 plus X or 22 plus Y. Female produce 22 plus X. So this is the male whose sperm fused with the female, and they can produce a different type of organism, that may be male or female. Then the exercise question. Mendel experiment breeding tall plant with violet flower and bearing white flower, short and white. Tall, violet, smith, and short, white. Progeny bear violet but half the short. It means the short were half. So the short should be hybrid, or that must be heterozygous. So the capital T, small t must be the genotype of tallness, and all are violet, so W should be dominant. It should have capital T, small t, capital W, small w. The combination is C. A study found the children with light color eye have parents with light colored eye. On this basis, can we say anything? It can be concluded that white eye color is dominant or recessive. Children with light colored eye are likely to have parents with light colored eye, so light colored trait is dominant. The dominant character is always expressed. Let us assume that light children have capital L or LL and II generation. If the children LL genotype, then the parent will be LL and the all child will be capital L, small l. It means it will have all trait of same. If the children with light color eyes have LL genotype, their parents will also have LL genotype, and therefore it cannot be concluded that light color is dominant or recessive. Outline a project which aims to find the dominant coat color in the dog. If we take two dogs, and cross them, we can easily calculate which is dominant. But actually, there are many genes in that have coat color in dog, and so we cannot find easily the project to find that a dog inherited one gene from each parent. The dominant gene get expressed in the phenotype. For example, in the B series, a dog can have genetically black or brown. Similarly, capital B, small b, it is a one combination, and when they combine, the always capital B, small b. Similarly, so there are many genes which are responsible for the tallness of the dog. Equal genetic contribution male and female in the progeny, because half chromosome comes from mother, half from father in the form of their zygote. The sperm has half chromosome, ovum also has half chromosome and half DNA, therefore both parents provide half DNA, half chromosome, so the next generation or the offspring will have half DNA and half gene from both the parents. So both have equal contribution. So the chromosome as well as DNA are equal in the offspring, and they have half equal share in their young ones. In the female, the chromosome must be capital X, and in male the chromosome must be X or Y. So half chromosome from one parent, half from other parent, therefore both give equal contribution. The total number of chromosome out of 23 where 23 chromosome from father, 23 from mother, 22 autosome and 1 sex chromosome. Therefore, the organism will have half chromosome from both the parents, and it will have similarly a good combination equal. Now the MCQ, some special MCQ. Father of genetics was Mendel. Mendel belongs to which country? Vienna. In tall and dwarf, which character is dominant? Tall is dominant. Number of gene human are considered to be 30,000 to 40,000. Branch of biology relative heredity and variation is called genetics. Mendel did the experiment on garden pea, that is Pisum sativum, that is the name of that pea plant. Mendel experiment on 7 pair of contrasting character. The ratio of F2 generation of phenotype in monohybrid cross is 3:1. The hybrid cross, the ratio is 9:3:1. Traits are expressed due to DNA and then protein. It was central dogma in which DNA form mRNA then protein. Dominant trait in P are tall, round and red, all are dominant. In man, sex is determined by chromosome, that is X or Y chromosome. Animal that can change sex is snail. Male and female sex of child depend upon the father. Blood group A, B and O select father. A is dominant over O, correct. B also dominant O. A and B are equal dominant, bilkul correct. A group can dominate blood to O, no. A cannot give blood to O, but O can give blood to A. That is another case. Number of genes is the more than the number of chromosome. In human being, 23 pair of chromosome are present. Number of expression of genetic information from one generation to another is known as DNA. Example of retrovirus. Retrovirus, that virus which is RNA genetic material, that may be TMV or AIDS virus. Genetic, generally the gamete according to the number of chromosome haploid. Cell in human female 22 plus X. Cells in human female 22. Autosome, 2 copies of autosome in human cell female and XX. It is 2A, that is the diploid copy of autosome 2A plus XX. Ovum produce human female. What is the ovum has? A plus X or A plus Y. Female will produce A plus X. Male will produce A plus X or A plus Y. In the sperm having X female chromosome fertilize ovum, then female is produced. If X has sperm, then the organ will be female. Cell in human male have chromosome. In human male have chromosome of types. Human male में 2A plus XY. Property of inheritance of character is known as heredity. Individual variation means variation. Which of these is homozygous? दोनों small है, small s. What will the genotype ratio of cross between RR and RR? It will be 1/1. Small r will produce one type of gamete, it will produce two types. So resultant will be same RR and RR. That will be 1:1. What is the genotype ratio of the cross between RR and RR? It will be genotypic ratio 1:1. It is actually the mono hybrid cross F2 generation. And 3:1 will be phenotypic ratio. The offspring resulting from a cross between two pure homozygous recessive would be. Our offspring will be all recessive. On what cellular structure are gene are present on the chromosome? In man, chromosome number is 46. Man's muscle cell will also have 46 chromosome because muscle cells are deployed. Component of chromosome that control heredity is DNA. Number of chromosome in a human male is 22 pair plus XY. In dog chromosome 78. How many chromosome in the dog sperm? 13. When the chromosome number is 78, the chromosome in dog will be 39. Sperm will have half number of chromosome. The resultant will be 39. Homologous chromosome in which are similar in both उनको कहते हैं autosome. Now this is your most important, and these are actually exemplar solution. In exemplar solution, exchange of genetic material take place in. जेनेटिक मटेरियल का एक्सचेंज कहाँ होता है? सेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन में. 2 pink colored flower on crossing in 1 red, 2 pink and 1 white. It is due to cell pollination. Cross between tall and dwarf result in progeny that were tall. It means tall is dominant. Dwarf is recessive. Which of the following is incorrect? For every molecule of fat there is a gene. No, the gene is for protein or enzyme. If a round green seeded plant RRY cross with wrinkled yellow seed, in F1 generation all will be round and yellow because here round is dominant, here yellow is dominant. A human male, all the chromosomes are paired perfectly except one. This unpaired chromosome is sex chromosome, that is X or Y. Maleness is determined by the Y chromosome in a zygote. Zygote which has X chromosome inherited from the father. Father gives X chromosome, the child will be female. Two plant, one with round green, other with wrinkled yellow are F1 generation. Produce yellow, round. F1 plant are selfed. It will be 9:3:1 ratio according to hybrid force. It will have 4 type of organism. Choose the new combination from the following. That is the round yellow. New combination will be different. That is round green and wrinkled yellow. These are the parental combination. The new combination will be round and yellow, wrinkled and green. Trait in an organism influenced by both maternal and parental DNA. Select the group which share maximum number of common characters, that is 2 individuals of the same species. 2 versions of a trait which are brought by the male and female are copy on the same chromosome. Select the statement that describe characters of a gene. Gene are a specific sequence of based on a DNA molecule, correct? And an individual of a given specific gene located on a particular chromosome. So answer first and third. In P, pure tall plant is crossed with a dwarf. Ratio of pure tall plant to short plant in F2, 1:1. 2 are hybrid, 1 capital T, 1 small t, and 2 small t, capital T. That is the hybrid. So pure will be 1:1. Number of pair of sex chromosomes zygote of human. In human, the number of pairs of sex chromosome in zygote, there will be one pair, that will be XX or XY depending upon the sex. How the sex is determined? It may be taken by X or Y. Genetic combination of mother plays significant role in determining sex? No, because female have XX, male have XY. Why do all the gametes found in male and female have an X chromosome? Because female is homozygous. That combination of sex chromosome in female is XX. In human being, state probably getting either a male female 50-50, because the male produce two types of gamete in equal ratio, X and Y. Because the combination of male is XY for sex chromosome, and according to probability, half will be with X, half will be with Y. Why did Mendel choose pea plant? Pea plant is easy to grow, short life plant, easy distribution, larger size of flower, self-pollinated, and it may be produce many seeds which could be counted very easily. A woman has only daughter, so the daughter are produced when the female has provided only X chromosome containing sperm. So the male is responsible for the sex determination, not female. Female always produce the ovum with X chromosome. She cannot produce Y chromosome. Therefore, it is the man who is responsible for this. Long answer is the following cross is write the character of the progeny. Here round yellow, all will be round yellow. Round and yellow both are dominant capital. It will produce 4 type of organism because it is a hybrid case. It is the case of Mendel's second cross. Then is the wrinkled green. These are recessive, and wrinkled green. This is recessive, so all will be wrinkled green. Round yellow and wrinkled green. Here round and yellow are dominant and they are homozygous, so all will be round yellow. Cell pollination in F1, fill the blanks. RRYY, RRYY. Then they are crossed. In F1 generation, RRYY into RRYY. All organisms will be of same type, capital I, small r, capital Y, small y. In question 44, what are the combination of characters in F2 progeny? In F2 progeny, there will be 4 types of characters. They will be round yellow, round green, wrinkled yellow, wrinkled green. And the ratio will be 9:3:3:1. Basic feature of mechanism of inheritance. In inheritance is controlled by gene. Every gene is present on the chromosome, and half chromosome comes from each parent, and their combination determines what will be the genotype. They separate at the time of gamete formation. Give reason for appearance of new combination in F2. The sort of tall, round, wrinkled field are independently inherited. It is a case of independent assortment. This was about the chapter